Hello everybody, it's Cape Rugby TV time. We talk about what's happening in the world of Western Province Club Rugby. Big thanks to our partners on board with us. Of course, Score Energy Drinks. You see them there behind me now. Don't forget you can win yourself a case of Score a little bit later in the course of the show. They're of course partners to the Western Province Club Rugby 7, so Score on board with Cape Rugby TV. Of course, MChem 24-hour pharmacy is just down the road on the corner of N1 and Durban Road. It's their birthday month at the moment. We'll talk to you about that a little bit later. Direct Access, your financial services partner. Of course, they are sponsors to the Curry Cup. Yes Electrical, just down the road in Voortrekker Road. And of course, Intercape, the official partners, transport providers to Western Province Rugby and the DHL Stormers. The rugby shares are high at the moment. The shares are high across the world. Let me introduce you to my panel this evening. Jerome Paardewater, nice to have you back, meneer.
Yeah, JP, good to be back. And good to be back after a great weekend with the Boks winning the World Cup.
I know.
Lots of hype around it, and it's still going on.
Yep.
Even my dominee was asking Sunday to the people why they didn't wear their Springbok jerseys to church. So everybody is still excited about that win.
Danny, nice to have you here. Danny Jones, General Manager, Western Province Rugby. How are things with you?
Good, JP. Good. Congratulations to the Boks, and can't wait for the Sevens to kick off.
Yeah, no, it's the Score Sevens at the moment, folks. We're going to talk about that during the course of the show. We'll take a look at the top four in the pools A's, B's, C's and D's. It's currently happening at CPUT, proudly presented by Score Energy Drinks and African Bank. Very exciting. So this is the last round of the pool stages. You want to watch some exciting rugby? I think it starts at about 11:30 or so. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Make sure you get down there. CPUT, lots of food and course and jumping castles and everything. That's of course this weekend. But we'll take a look at who's going to possibly make it into the top 4 before we go into the top 16. We'll talk about that. Right, Jerome, let's talk to you first here. South Africa and Danny, this is now open conversation. This is what I've been looking forward to, is having an opportunity to speak to the rugby experts. I mean, just to start the ball rolling, great news for South Africa winning the World Cup.
No, that's the best news, JP, and it's almost like I think people, and I see the Boks also talk about the 95 World Cup. That's the one that we always remember. But now this one is also good.
Yeah.
And some people say it might be almost better than the 95 World Cup, but I think 95 really put South Africa on the map, not on the map in terms of rugby, but that opened the door for everybody, and it just opens up everything. And yeah, I must say, JP, I was surprised. I didn't give the Springboks a chance. The rugby that they played and the rugby that they played in the World Cup wasn't rugby that we like to see, and I think a lot of fans actually think the same, but heads up to Rassie and his coaching team and to the team to perform behind the scenes.
Yeah.
They had to do a lot of hard work to come with a game plan like that and to win the World Cup.
Danny, your thoughts? I mean, same question really.
JP,
Great
firstly,
news.
it's great news. I'm disappointed in my colleague there in saying he didn't give the Springboks an opportunity. I, from the start, said the Springboks were going to win the World Cup. I have people out there who know that I said it, and I believed it, because if you look at the makeup of South African rugby, I just thought that we stand a very good chance of winning this World Cup, and I put my money on that.
The Boks.
On the
Did
Boks.
you take a bet?
No, I didn't.
You didn't take a bet?
I didn't take a bet because if you remember,
Not a gambling man.
no, it's not a gambling man, but World Rugby has very rules for players and administrators.
Oh, right. So
now
you're not
you
actually
remember,
allowed to take a bet.
100%.
Right.
We're not allowed to take a bet. But as you know, the Welsh manager was sent home because he betted.
Really? I didn't
Yes.
know that. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was sent
Yeah.
home. But
That's interesting.
I want to concur with Jerome that a lot of good was done behind the scenes with Rassie and his technical team, the players. One also must acknowledge, normally when you win, it's just the coaches. When you lose, it's the leadership of the field that's the problem.
Yeah.
So one needs to commend Mark Alexander, the president, Yuri Roux, the CEO, and the executive committee of SA Rugby for engaging with the Springbok management and team and the players. And it was a collective effort. And
okay, well, we're going to get into the collective effort part of the discussion in a second. If we're talking about predictions, I got it wrong. I said that we were going to play the All Blacks twice. I think a lot of people said this. that we were going to play them in the first pool game, and that we were going to play them and beat them in the finals. But let's just take a look there. Let's quickly talk about the All Black component. Jerome, All Blacks coming to the World Cup, just not good enough.
No, I mean they were. It's always difficult, JP, to be the favourites in the amount of pressure that's on you as a coach and as a team, because everybody expects you that you're not going to lose a game. So everybody expects you to win, and with that amount of pressure, it's just how humans work. You can't perform under pressure all the time, because the Springboks every time the New Zealand, every time if they put their jersey on, they're under pressure, because people expect them to win. So if you do your homework like what Eddie Jones did against them, and I also think that Rassie did his homework against them, and in that game you could see there wasn't much in that game. I think the Springboks could have won that game. The way New Zealand were playing, it's like it was like a master plan. Like, listen, we're really not interested in playing this game. I think New Zealand also wanted to lose that game, the way they played, the two teams on that day, because they knew they're gonna get each other somewhere, somehow.
Is this what it comes down to? It comes down to it comes down to this being a chess game of which coach is literally the smarter. Because that's what a lot of people were saying. They were saying this is Eddie Jones against New Zealand, or it's Eddie Jones against Rassie Erasmus.
Look, there's no doubt about it. Coaches play an important role in that. Is their strategy and the support team strategy, getting out there, and it does become a game of chess. There's no doubt about it. But I want to say that in the end, it's a collective. It's players and coaches, and as who wants. I'll never forget. Years ago, they interviewed Stefan Edberg, the tennis, when he was #1, and he made a very valid statement when he said, it's about the hunger in the person. So they asked him what do the top 10 players do, and all. He said, depending on the morning of the final, anybody can beat anybody, as who wants it the most.
Yeah. How do you compare 2007 to 2019?
Well, look, 2007 we won. Jake did a good job, no doubt about it. Jake and John. But I want to say that the last 2019 for me is certainly special, because South Africa has been under a lot of pressure as a nation. There's been a lot written about us, about the government, people in authority, and all those things. Yeah. There's been a lot of doom and gloom. So this win puts a lot of things, gives us hope, because winning is about hope. It's about aspirations. It's hope, and this does.
Well, I want to talk to you about that, because this is something that is actually quite important, and I'm going to speak to you in a second about how do we convert this hope, and what does this mean for Western Province Rugby. But Jerome, in terms of your memories, if you just think about it yourself now, comparing 95 to 2007 and 2019, from a coaching perspective, how does this sit with you and the feeling for your players, your coaching staff, the people that you've worked with? Surely this is something you're in the rugby industry. Your shares have just gone up.
Yeah, definitely, JP. I think in a whole, as Mr. Jones was saying there, it's good for South Africa. It's good for South African coaches, because I remember for the last few years, it doesn't matter what team or where you've been in New Zealand. If you coach a primary school team, you will get a job overseas. You will go coach somewhere. If you know a little bit of rugby and you're a New Zealander, you will get a job. So hopefully there's a lot of opportunities for coaches who aspire to go and coach overseas, and people just get more respect for South Africans as a whole now, and as a nation, for what we achieve. Because if you listen to what Sia is always saying, it's about the diversity, and they've got that mix wrong. It took a while. They've got it right now. Sorry, that diversity, the mix, in what we stand for. And I also think there's, like I say, the opportunities now is immense for in sport in general, for wherever you, because they know.
That's right, it's not just rugby, it actually is going to cascade into the other sporting codes as well. Folks, we're going to take an ad break in a second. Of course, don't forget you can win yourself a case of Score energy drinks a little bit later. Make sure you got your mobile phones handy. We'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we'll continue the conversation on how do we convert. And we've also got some of your Facebook messages, which are messages of support for Sia and the team. But we'll talk about how do we convert this feeling of hope into opportunities for the world for the nation. How does rugby convert this? We'll be back after the break. Welcome back, everybody. It's Cape Rugby TV. We hope that you've got your mobile phones handy so that you can win that case of Score energy drinks a little bit later during the course of the show. Taking a look at some of your Facebook messages that came in here. Ferdi Fortuin, proud of you, Sia Kolisi, and the team did really make South Africa proud. Chad Biggs wrote, this team literally had the entire South Africa cheering them on. You guys made us stronger together. Once again, well done. Gregory Andries posted, Sia and the team, you made South Africa as a country not only proud, but for one special day we stood together as South Africans, the whole country united as one, like you as the Springboks were on Saturday, when you proved so many doubters wrong by once again showing them what South Africans can do. Brilliant players, and the post goes on. Dwayne van Vieren, I literally had goosebumps watching the team gather just before the trophy handover. Warren Withers, this World Cup win cannot be put into any number of words. However, we were put into it in a phrase. It would undoubtedly be huge. That's, of course, from Warren Wilters. And Shahid Grinstead, well done to Coach Rassi, the assistant coaches, everyone behind the scenes, and to Sia and the boys. Congratulations on bringing the cup home. We'll read a few more of the posts as they come in. But Danny, if we just look at that, let's move away from the coaching side of things now. Sia at a Western... Oh, in fact, we spoke about converting this. We will speak about converting this in a second. But I suppose part of converting it is having the likes of a Sia Kolisi, who we have known since he was coming through the ranks over the last 10 years at Western Province. He's been part of the fibre of Western Province. And we see him now, and the whole of South Africa sees him now as a very genuine individual. There's nothing fake about Sia. He puts it all out there. And the interesting thing is just that when he speaks, he has the ability to speak from raw experience. No one has had to spoon feed him a public relations message.
No, Sia is a sincere individual. He knows what it takes. Coming from the background that he comes and where he sees himself now. So there has been a struggle for him all his life. It was great to see him when they interviewed him on Saturday, when he said that he's thankful for the people in the townships, in the shebeens, and even the homeless who have given them support. And I think that's good of him, because he didn't just look at society, the haves in the society, but he focused on the have-nots.
Yeah.
And the fact that he could draw from their strength.
Yeah.
And the Springboks drew from that strength, and brought it through.
But
so well done.
So Jerome, if I go into that side of things there, we were talking about Rassi Erasmus earlier on, and his coaching ability. The fact that he recognized Sia and said, this is our captain, and he worked a lot around managing Sia and making sure that Sia stayed as the captain, was obviously just goes to show some of the smarts of our Springbok coach, that he was able to choose the right captain for the right tournament and for the right country.
Yeah, look, JP, you must understand, I don't know if a lot of people know, but Rassi was director at Western Province. And at that time, Sia was playing under 19s, and he was the under 19 captain. So I think they and Rassi had a lot to do with the under 19s back then also. So I think their relationship starts way back, and he knew the capabilities of Sia and the type of person that Sia is. So it just didn't happen this year or the beginning of this year.
So there's
it's
a lot
long
of history
relationship
there, in fact, between.
And yeah. That's how they came together and how they know that. And I mean, obviously Sia was captain of the Stormers also and captain of Province. So he knew Sia.
Well, we've all been very close to Sia, but I mean, in the Western Province space, obviously. So moving to this conversion thing now, Danny, the shares are high. If we look at sport, and I'm speaking reasonably, call it philosophically here, and you've often mentioned this stuff about social cohesion and sports making a difference, and sport playing its role of contributing to the nation. And if we look at the world of rugby, rugby's real primary goal is to contribute also to society. I mean, that's actually what it comes down to, whether it be winning trophies or just playing at a school. Will this process here, and we know what's going to happen over the next few weeks, there's going to be buses and ticket tape parades and photo opportunities and everybody. Will this win for us and the euphoria around SIA, will it mean that there's going to be more kids coming to sign up and play rugby?
Look, JP, rugby by its definition and by its values speaks about inclusiveness. Where in which sport, in world sport, do you find a 78 kilogram wing running out next to 130 kilogram prop?
Scottsdene, you can find him at Scottsdene.
Yeah, definitely.
Scottsville.
So what I'm trying to say is that it's a game for all.
Yeah.
Whether you're a ballerina or sumo wrestler, rugby offers you that space. So that is a great value of the game. I just think that this was a great victory because in 95 years it was good to be a South African. It was good to win the World Cup. But my personal journey at that point in time, I was still doubting what 95 meant with regard to me, because at that point in time, while I was a South African, based on our history and where we come from, it was a bit difficult for me to embrace the 95 victory. This time, I must say, and life is about evolution, it's about moving on, it's about that. This time, and in 2007 and 2019, 2019 was something special.
But surely I get the feeling that even up until when we lifted the trophy, people had still not converted their attitude until Sia came on the picture and said, guys, here's the trophy, back South Africa, back the country, and he told his story.
Look, I mean, JP, life is tough.
Have we converted more people?
If you look at the amount of people who came to the airport yesterday, and you look at the complexity and the composition of that crowd, then it holds a lot of good prospects for rugby and Springbok rugby, because the country came out, the diversity came out in our communities, and I think that's a big plus. And I do think that rugby it gives any child out there now an opportunity to dream.
Well,
that no matter where he comes from, he can lift the Springbok trophy and the World Cup trophy. And one is taken back to Nelson Mandela when he said, anybody, anywhere, if they dream, they can become the president of a country. And I think that, for me, shows you again the power of aspirations and the power of, if you want to work hard at something, you can make it work for yourself.
Jerome, you played rugby many years in South Africa under difficult times as well, the Federation days and the SARU days and so on. Over the next few weeks, we're going to see kids running next to buses, trying to get photographs with Sia, trying to get photographs with the team. We'll probably see people giving away T-shirts, and all sorts of celebration will happen around this. And these kids in all walks of life are going to see their heroes now. Do you think that as the fans, these kids are going to go home and say, Mom, Dad, I want to play rugby?
Yes, I would say if I just read the stories about Mpimpi, I mean, that guy, he worked in a shop, packing shelves in a shop, and after school he had nothing, so he had to go and do that, and then he got an opportunity to go play for Border, and he went to play for Border, and he almost stopped again because there wasn't enough money. Then he got an opportunity to play for the Kings, and he went there, and then his breakthrough finally came there. People got to see him and got to know him. So I think there's a lot of that stories out there, and it's all about opportunities, JP. And for us in sport, in rugby, the leadership, whoever is in charge, they must embrace people like that, and not saying like we don't have that and we can't do that. We must embrace stories like that and look at it. If there's more of that, and obviously after this there would be more of those people coming through in playing rugby and want to play rugby and want to make a name. Yes, maybe some will see it as I can make money, but then you're also wrong if you see that as it's still a sport, and it gives you the opportunity.
So Danny, if I bring this back to your side now, from a Western Province rugby point of view, if I look at the club structure almost as if they're shops, and you've got in Western Province 110 odd clubs, and you've got 15,000 players, but we always want more people to play rugby. We always want more people to join more clubs, especially women rugby joining different clubs, and well, women, youth, and so on. Is this not the perfect opportunity for the clubs out there to say, the shop doors are open, come and join. This is my field. This is where my contact numbers are. If you want to bring your kids to the club, or if you want to take your kids to a school, this is where you sign up. This is the perfect opportunity for clubs to take advantage of this and say, we're going to recruit another 100, 200 players into our space.
Look, I think it's an opportunity for clubs to use the wave that we are now and create more access. And as Jerome speaks about opportunities, because it is about opportunities. But you know, it's important. I mean, in Western Province, we're blessed because we have quite a number of clubs and a large amount of schools playing the code of sport. And I do think that this gives a grade 1 kid an opportunity to choose rugby as his or her code of sport.
Yeah.
And one day they can. I mean, the women's team is going to the World Cup. Sia and his team went to the World Cup and won it. It just gives those opportunities. But we need to grow the game in schools. We are hoping that the spin-offs that we are speaking about relates to income, and that income relates to us, SARU, distributing it to provinces, to clubs,
but also
and in that way, you know, we can grow the game both from a growth point of view and also invest in people.
Well, this is part of our point here. I mean, again, now you say, we asked the question, how did we capitalize in 95? How did we capitalize in 2007? The question now comes again, can we capitalize? Because we didn't convert enough, as far as I'm concerned. Every World Cup meant something different. So 2019, the question that I have is, how do we convert this? Because once again, it's the perfect opportunity for the corporate sector to say, we like this idea of rugby. We see where it's being played. Clearly, it's something we're good at. We're the world champions. Let's invest in rugby. So for any business that's out there, a brand manager, a sponsorship manager, someone who's got budget, even if they're involved in a CSI project, it's a no-brainer. You should be fired if you're not going to be investing in rugby. Now's the opportunity for you to say, right, how are we going to invest in rugby? Because it's good for the kids, it's good for our community, and we're going to feed them through the system. Let's go find a local club, and let's put money into our community space. Because we think that sport that's on the local field is doing good for the community. Let's go invest in a club. This is what the corporate sector should do now, and there should be no excuse anymore.
Look, there's no doubt about it, JP. We are hoping that the few corporate guys think like you and see their contribution to rugby as investing in people and investing in clubs and investing in schools, so that they can one day, their return on investment is, besides growing the community, growing the club, is to say at least their contribution is a Pimpy or a Cheslin Colby coming from that community and playing for South Africa, and they contributed to those success stories.
Yeah. Right, folks, we're going to take an ad break. I love talking about this. It's a long overdue that we've had this just general conversation about what is sport, what is rugby, how does it connect, how does rugby make it better for the people out there? And that's exactly what it does. You just got to think about it. Get away from all the logs and the results and the fixtures and medals and so forth. The reality is that rugby is a contribution into society building. It is uplifting. It's an opportunity for everybody to engage. It really is something that's more than just putting a medal over your neck. Right, we're going to take an ad break. Don't forget you can win yourself a case of Score a little bit later during the course of the show. Make sure you get your mobile phones handy. And then we're going to take a look at the fixtures coming up this weekend at the Score Western Province Club Rugby Sevens, which is of course proudly presented by African Bank. Back in a sec. Welcome back, everybody. Ryan, I'm starting to sound like a salesperson. Yeah, nice to have you back. Talking about Western Province Club Rugby. Jerome, 12 years ago, I was standing on the field at Newlands. I had 50,000 people in the stadium with me. I was the master of ceremonies for the Cape Town leg of the trophy handover. Percy Montgomery, John Smith, all the boys were on the field there. It was absolutely fantastic. 50,000 people in the stadium at Newlands, and 250,000 people were in the street as we were waiting for the bus to come down. Of course, for me, it was a very special moment because there I've got all the Springboks with me. They had all their wives and girlfriends. It was probably since the last win, it was the last time we won it. It was absolutely incredible. For me, that was very special. I was able to talk to 50,000 people and get them on their feet as they welcomed the world champions. And then, of course, it was ticket tape parades, and the bus had all the players on the bus, and they were driving all around Cape Town to Seapoint, Camps Bay, Mitchell's Plain, Guguletuka, everywhere. What do you think we're going to see now?
I think you had 50,000, you say?
50 in the stadium. It was jam-packed, sold out. Probably a few more thousand because the field also had a few hundred people on it.
Now, I'll see you'll double that. If there's 100,000 people that can go to Cape Town Stadium, they will go to Cape Town Stadium. So they will double that. But that's how it is, JP. I mean, they deserve every single credit that goes their way. They deserve that, and they must enjoy that. For the next 4 years, we are the world champs, so we must enjoy that for 4 years. And as you were saying earlier on, we must capitalize on every opportunity that there is. And what we can take in and how we can still grow this game. I remember, JP, in 1995 when after that, I think a month after that or 3 weeks after that, Chester came to my house, and I was still living in Durbanville. And for some or other reason, a few of the kids got to hear that Chester is at my house. And there was a line of children, I think there was about 60 children lining up to have the signature, and we had to organize that and said, okay, you come in and you walk out that way. So that's how it is. People
coming into your house.
Yeah, Sia and that
Isn't
guys.
that fantastic?
They public figures now. So the public is gonna. They're not gonna be leave alone now for many years. So that's how it is, JP. And I think that they deserve everything. They deserve whatever.
Great. We've got a few fans that have sent some more messages in for Sia and the team on Facebook here. Warren Walters, just going back to just adding on, for many of us still struggling to grasp what happened over the weekend, this win has rocketed South Africa to new heights. Well done, Coach Rassie and the team. And then Shaheen Grinstead, well done to Coach Rassie, the assistant coaches, everyone behind the scenes, and to Sia and the boys, congratulations on bringing the cup home and giving us something positive to cheer about. Shukran for bringing us as a nation together. Well done, Boka. Hashtag stronger together. And then Ezra Amon saying, what a great display of unity can achieve, and congratulations, Sia and the team. And then Johan Beekes, proud of you guys. So a lot of messages of support coming in then for Sia and the team. Danny, if we move to you now, just in terms of the Western Province component and Western Province rugby, you've got a number of players here: Sia, Eben, Cheslin, Frans Malherbe. I mean, there's Stephen Kitsoff, you've got Herschel Janchis, Damian Delenda,
and Cheslin Colby.
Cheslin Colby, of course, everyone knows Chesy, Damian Willemse. I mean, you've got a whole string of Western Province players in the World Cup squad. I can probably even put Skalk Brits in there.
Dwayne.
But isn't this just incredible for Western Province rugby? That just shows you that you don't need to win every trophy to be part of the success story.
No, that's true, JP. I mean, we are always blessed with great players, and as Jerome said, you forgot to mention Dwayne has also comes from Western Province. Francois Lowe also comes from Western
Francois
Province.
Lowe. Flo.
So there's a lot of those players, or many of them have Western Province ID and running in their veins. So we're proud of them. They've done well, and those who leave our shores for greener pastures, we wish them well. We because it creates an opportunity for someone else.
Yeah.
Who you know, when these
What are your plans now? What are your plans for the boys? Is it too early? Have you got plans for the boys when they arrive here?
Look, I know SA Rugby has developed a strategy around, you're right, taking the trophy and the team to the public. So they will be in Joburg, I think in Cape Town on the 11th of November, I'm not too sure. Right, but there is a plan around that, while the so fresh in our memories is to take the World Cup to all communities and in all, all
Western
communities.
Province, will you have an opportunity to do that, like you've done with the Curry Cup before? I know you've taken the Curry Cup.
We will, obviously, this is SA Rugby's domain. And they will, and we will assist them where possible. And obviously, we're proud that we had many hands and feet running out on Saturday, representing the Springboks. Many hands and feet that were coming from the greater Cape Town area.
But talking about those hands and feet, Jerome, you had a hand to play in many of these hands and feet. All of these guys, in fact, at some other stage, were under your coaching guidelines. You know, probably the most recent guys being Herschel Jantjies and Damian Willemse, and these are your boys. I mean, you must have been over the moon on Saturday.
Yeah, you know, yesterday I seen the Damian Delende and his dad in the burger with his dad was there in Japan with the cup, and I remember Mr. Jones when we started many years ago with the under 20 club squad to see if there's guys that can play under 21, and Damian Delende back then was playing for Hamilton's under 20. And he was one of the guys that was there, and his dad bring him every Monday, every Wednesday. He was there, cold, rain, he was there. And then talking to him afterwards, because he's the only guy that was like really standing there on the field watching. So there's many dads watching, but they're in the cars. But this guy was like on the field watching and talking to him afterwards and just say, yo, Jerome, that's my son. Have what it takes to become a great rugby player. And I said, look, he's got the size. We're going to work on his skill level, and we're going to work on his fitness level and conditioning, and he will make it someday. And I stopped that year with the under-21s, and Dobson took over. And I said to Dobson, listen, here is a big guy, he's a center, give him an opportunity. And he was on the bench one game, and the rest was history. He started all that games that year for the under-21 and played Curry Cup and he's done. So I'm not taking credit. I mean, everybody at Western Province is what we do, and seeing this young men growing into men and become somebody. And like you said, like Herschel. So there's many of these guys we know. Mr. Jones know Frans Malherbe from school, from Boys Eye. We know Kitsoff from Paul Roos, being in the Cravenbeck in the school structures with Wilfred Kibru, elite squads, Eben Etzebeth. So all that guys
Danny, Paul Roos must be happy. If you count the amount of players, Springbok players there that come from Paul Roos, it's an incredible number. Schalk Brits, Damian Willemse, Francois Lowe, Kitsoff. It's probably the team or the school with the most Springboks in the team.
We actually forgot about Pollard. Pollard also, Andre Pollard is also from here.
Andre Pollard's a Province player as well, yes. But you've got some big school names in your space here that have delivered some players into the World Cup.
Look, Jerome mentioned now those big schools and that, and our great school system and that. In the same vein, I also want to just share that we had, with regard to Damian Delende and Francois Lowe, they never played provincial schools rugby. They made it post matric when they were under 18, under 19, under 20. So it gives, yes, you can. The school does help where you go to, but you can't. I mean, with those two guys, they never made it in the system, at that point in time,
In
or
the
in
school
the
system.
in the
They
school
never
system.
played Craven Week,
But
you mean?
they never played Craven Week.
Yeah.
But they came through the club system,
Yeah.
and they went to play provincial, and there they played.
I think
They played.
Francois Lowe played for us Vodacom. When
played
we
Vodacom,
were
yeah.
there, he played.
Well, I mean,
he started there.
there's another example. I mean, I'm just saying that Paul Roos guys must be proud. They will
Correct.
probably they've got their own guys. But if we talk about the school system here, it does go to show that in the failure of the school system, your link from school to club, the club system is working on its own. Because if Herschel Janchis, Damien Willemse, Francois Lowe, Damien De Allende, these are all guys, like you say, they did. Okay, I'm going. If we go specifically on your point there, being Damien and Francois Lowe, didn't make it at school level, but played club level and got into the Springbok side.
Look, there's another player, VPNL, he's playing for Scotland. I'll tell you, he played he never made it in our under 21. A team that played the final in Bloemfontein a couple of years ago.
You know,
but he was on. He was close to it. He was played 1 or 2 games, and they represented Scotland in the World Cup. So, what we're trying to say is
And he was so passionate about it that he changed his name to his province's name. You've never seen Bulls Nell or EP Nell.
yeah. He wanted the world to see that he has a link in Cape Town.
He's so in love with Western Province, he even changed his name to. He's not white? Okay, VPNL. Folks, we're going to take an ad break. Then we're going to take a look at the score sevens that's happening at the moment at the CPUT. You want to win yourself a case of score, all right? Then all you need to do is SMS the word score to 33090. And congratulations to Damien Kotze. Damien, congratulations. You walk away with a case of Score energy drinks. Congratulations. The guys from Cape Rugby TV will be in touch with you shortly. We'll take an ad break. When we come back, folks, we're going to take a look at what's happening in the Score at Western Province Club Rugby Sevens, proudly presented by African Bank. That's happening at CPUT at the moment. Kickoff is at 11:30 on Saturday. Number of games. And the teams will be aiming to make it into the top 4. Back in a sec. Welcome back, everybody. It's Cape Rugby TV. When we focus on what's happening in the world of Western Province Club Rugby, it's the Score Western Province Club Rugby Sevens at the moment, happening at CPUT. If you want to go out there, then CPUT is the place to be this Saturday, starting about 11. Let's quickly take a look at the logs so that you can see who the big dogs are that are trying to make it into the top 4. In Pool A, then, Tygerberg, Unimol, Albions, and they've played most of their games already. False Bay still has 3 games in hand, and then Busy Bees have completed their cycle. Jerome, if we look at that there is no more changing, it looks to me like, in Pool A. It's going to be Tygerberg, Unimil, Albions, and False Bay. But they will still be playing for position.
Yeah, one team that looks like they can still make it either second or third. It's the 4 will be there, but False Bay look they can maybe swap. That's the only thing
Change
that
positions.
I can see in Pool A.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look, folks. Let's take a look at one of the Pool A games, just to give you a feeling for False Bay's running rugby. False Bay was playing against Eerste Rivier, and this will give you an indication as to how we think False Bay will perform on Saturday. This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy. This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy. Right then, there we go, folks. Welcome back, Jerome. One of the. If we look at the fixtures this weekend, False Bay still got a couple of fixtures to do. As we said earlier on, it is about playing for position. False Bay this weekend take on Peninsula. They are up against Unimil. They're of course up against Albions as well. Albions is a dangerous side. Looking at that match there, can False Bay end higher on the log?
Looking at that, and I know Peter Bernardi, he specializes in sevens. That's why it Falls Bay. He's coaching one of the lower teams, but his main focus are at Falls Bay and sevens. So he knows his story. Just looking at that game now, I mean, East River couldn't score because of the defensive structure, and a lot of that Falls Bay guys are young guys that I don't know. They don't play for the first team, so it looks like he's got a squad going. So yes, I think they can go much further.
Right, folks, Tygerberg is, of course, unbeaten in Pool A at the moment. They've got a 100% success rate. Let's take a look at their match against False Bay and see if you think they are going to retain that strike rate. This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy. This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy. Right, welcome back, folks. Yes, so Jerome, Danny, let's go to you. Tygerberg, they ended up beating False Bay. They're 14 points to 10. Tygerberg still have 3 games left. They're playing against Blue Stars, they're playing against Albions, and they're playing against Unimil. Unimil at the moment is sitting, I think, at number 2 or 3 on that log. Can Tygerberg retain their unbeaten status?
They won the competition last year, and they might just see as opportunity to play a few of the other players now, because remember you got a squad of 20, but you give 15 on the day registered. So because they're already through, but everybody wants to be number 1. So it's going to be.
Is it the question of who's going to be the hungriest on the day?
I'm sure it's about who's going to be hungry on the day. But remember, this is still part of the round robin.
Yeah,
it's next week when it matters.
It's the big one. The big one's next week. All right, let's quickly take a look at the fixtures coming up in Pool A then this Saturday. False Bay will be up against Peninsula. Albion's up against False Bay. Blue Stars then take on Tygerberg. False Bay are then up against Unimil. And then the Pool A fixtures finish off with Tygerberg up against Albions. And then they played their second match against a Unimil. So it's going to be interesting because you've got your top guys playing against each other in Pool A. So it's actually kind of worked out to be an exciting day of rugby because Pool A is going to be showcasing the top dogs in the last few games. So make sure you get down to CPUT this coming Saturday. We'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we'll take a look at Pools B, C, and D. Back in a sec. Right, folks, this weekend at CPUT, it's the Score Western Province Club Rugby Sevens, proudly presented by African Bank. The Pool B fixtures, looks like Pool B is going to have a ton of fixtures in them. Let's quickly take a look at the Pool B fixtures, and then we'll take a look at the Pool B logs. This weekend, it's Hands and Hearts. They are also ready for action. Hands and Hearts are up against Goodwood. Then Elsie's are up against Strand United. Fora take on Brackenfell. Paarl and Silvertree. Elsie's are up against Kylemore, Franschhoek, and Silvertree again. And then Durban take on Goodwood. It's Brackenfell up against Hands and Hearts as Hands go back in the park. And then Strand United against Durban, Franschhoek against Paarl, and Fora against Strand United. So these teams now know who they are up against. And Jerome, if we take a look at the logs in Pool B, well, it's going to be also some tough matches there. Hands and Hearts, Durban, Kylemore, and Goodwood, but pretty much done now because Strand, who are sitting at number 5 on the log, they've played all their games. There's no more catch up there. It's also a question now of those top teams playing for position. Hands and Hearts, Durban, Kylemore, and Goodwood. And in this league in Pool B, Hands and Hearts, the team also that's unbeaten.
Yeah, that look like the teams there. And I think JP at Kylemore, because Herschel is back, he might play Saturday for them, so that might boost them a bit for the
Let's
last
just be clear
game.
on that. We're talking about Herschel Giants now, the World Cup champion.
No, only joking, JP.
He's not going to be playing for Kylemore this weekend?
No, but
maybe a guest appearance?
Maybe a guest appearance. Yeah. But I think that pool is pretty much done now.
Yep. All right, folks, let's take a look then at the fixtures at the logs first in Pool C. Now, Pool C is a little bit more interesting because the teams below Stellenbosch seem to be still in the running to make it into the top 4, or at least to finalize the top 4. So looking at the logs in Pool C, Stellenbosch are sitting at the top, followed by Bellville, Young People's, Hamlets, Helderberg, and Young Wesley's. Danny, if we go down all the way down to position 6, if we look from position 2, which is Bellville, all the way down to Young Wesley, so we're talking about Bellville, Young People's, Hamlets, Helderberg, Young Wesley's, those teams, there's only 3 points difference, or 2 points difference between 31 on top for Bellville and 29 on top for Young Wesley's. And there is only 2 games left to play for each of those teams. Maybe Young Wesley's has a few more games in hand. But Pool C looks like it's going to be still open.
No, it's still an open race, JP.
Yeah.
There'll be competition amongst that top 5 teams from 2 to 6. I'm happy to see that Young Wellesley's are doing so well. Great to them, and they're a club in the regions. So they see an opportunity for them to play, to run with the big dogs.
If some of these teams lose any of their games, Jerome, they're in trouble.
Yeah, if you look at Helderberg, they had 5. It looks like they also have a little bit of chance. So teams can't actually slip up, and but I think that's the only team that might have an opportunity in there.
Yep. Well, Marty's is of course sitting at the top of the log, and to give you an idea of how Marty's is playing, let's take a look at their match against Hamlets.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy.
It's delicious.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-hour pharmacy.
Well, Marties are going to be ready for action this coming Saturday. Let's take a look now. Logs in Pool D, folks, and it's Hamilton's. They're sitting at the top of the pile there. They've played 10, they've won 9. UWC played 8, they've won 7. Still games in hand. Belhar sitting at number 3. And then, of course, it's Kales River. If we look at that, Kales River's played all of their matches, Jerome. Fisanta Kral has played all of their matches. That's the top 4 also locked down there because there can't be any changes there. Playing just for position. It's Hamilton's, UWC, Belhar, and Kales River. Those are your top 4 in Pool D. And if we look at the fixtures that are, of course, going to be played in Pool D, we know that there's going to be some interesting matches there. Even though it's a small pool, UWC up against Morningstar, they're going to need to get those points. Belhar up against UWC, those two teams in the top log, so that's going to be a big match. And then, of course, Langa played Morningstar and Langa play against Belhar thereafter. But the big matches there, if they are playing for position, will be Belhar and UWC against Morningstar. Morningstar's a dangerous team.
Yeah, Morningstar also, they're pretty much low down, but I think Belhar, I mean, they're known for their 7s, and I think the two sides there will be Belhar and UWC. That game might almost be like a semi-final.
Belhar, UWs?
Yeah.
All right, Danny?
Definitely Belhar, UW. Good game, great game. And may the best team win.
Well, that's like a normal derby match, because even when Belhar and UWC are playing against each other in Super League A, it's like a derby match.
Definitely, there's no doubt about it. There's they're neighbours, neighbouring clubs.
Yeah.
They share lots of friendships and those things, so it's going to be a good game.
Right, folks, it's all going to come down to the wire this coming weekend. You've got to make sure that you get down to the CPUT Sports Grounds this coming weekend. It's all happening there, where it's the Score Western Province Club Rugby 7s up and supported by African Bank this coming weekend at CPT. Starts at about 11. Jerome Paarwater, thank you very much for joining us. What are your plans for the weekend?
CPUT.
CPUT? Any favourites there? Or you're not allowed to say?
No, all the teams are.
All the teams. Favorite. All right. Mr. Jones, I've got no doubt I'll see you sitting in the camping chair on Saturday.
Most definitely, JP. Enjoying a great encounter on Saturday at CPUT. So I'll probably see you there too.
Yep, you've definitely seen me on the side of the field, and we'll make sure we have highlights for next week when we then get to the top 16 teams that are going to be playing in the Cup, the Shield, the Bowl, and the Plate.
Correct.
Right.
I'm looking forward to the finals on the 16th.
And we're looking forward to next week announcing who those 16 are and how that structure works. So make sure you don't go away. At least make sure you come back next week. Remember, you can catch a repeat, of course, of this show. You can catch a repeat on Saturday. But in case you want to catch up for the structures, next week we'll announce the top 16, the fixtures, and know who plays in the Cup, the Shield, the Bowl, and the Plate. All that and more next week, same time, same place. Have a fantastic rugby weekend. Bye-bye.